Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Siheyuan. Want me to retire? Moving out of Siheyuan upon waking up, Liu Weidong realized that he had traveled through time and arrived in the world full of love in a courtyard. And at the beginning, he was scared away by Mr. Yi Zhonghai and the deaf old lady from his blind date. Fortunately, Liu Weidong has bound a resentment value system. As long as you break through the defense, you can earn resentment points and exchange them for various rewards. After realizing that Yi Zhonghai was still planning a retirement plan, Liu Weidong moved out of the courtyard directly. I won't stop, hey, I won't play with you anymore. By the way, Liu Weidong also fooled Silly Zhu into moving out of the courtyard together. I still want to retire, you guys are thinking of nothing to eat. Now, all the birds have broken through their defenses. Dingdong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Yi Zhonghai's resentment value plus 99. Dingdong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Qin Huai Ru's resentment value plus 100. Dingdong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the deaf old lady's resentment value plus 68. Since moving out of the courtyard, Liu Weidong has been living a carefree life. And those beasts, on the other hand, are in dire straits. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. How to fill a quadrangle with birds. We have to move out. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. How to fill a quadrangle with birds. We have to move out. First snow, the cold wind howls. In the 4 or 9 cities of the 1960s, within the Red Star Courtyard. 8 immortal table, melon seeds, peanuts, and a steaming large porcelain jar. 3 gentlemen sat around the 8 immortals table, tilting their heads to look at a room by the west wing. Look, I haven't gone out all day. Grandpa Yen Bugui glanced at him and lowered his head to take a sip of tea. Isn't that right? Last night, I saw him go to the tavern and buy several cents of wine. If you want me to say that Liu Weidong is holding himself back like this, the mess he blew up on his blind date is a hurdle for him. Isn't Silly Zhu saying that this kid's cook rating hasn't been passed? It's probably a big blow to him too. Don't drink too much and get drunk in the room. It's so unlucky. Surrounded by the other neighbors of the courtyard, I was discussing every word you said. Su Dumao. Go and see what's going on with that kid Liu Weidong. Yi Zhonghai half squinted his eyes and waved his hand to Su Dumao, who was sitting next to him. Su Dumao was happily munching on melon seeds. Upon hearing this, he impatiently stood up and spat out the melon seed skin from his mouth. Bang bang bang. Su Dumao quickly stepped forward to the front of the house and knocked hard on the door. Liu Weidong, are you still drinking? Seeing that there was no movement inside the room, Su Dumao frowned and pinched his nose as he walked back. Not to mention, a whiff of alcohol. It's suffocating me. Su Dumao sat back in his seat and reported the situation to the 3 gentlemen. Everyone was also very worried upon hearing this, but what they were worried about was not Liu Weidong's safety but rather worried about people dying here. Bad luck. Inside the room. The aged wine from the Mian Reservoir distillery spilled all over the ground. The table was left in a mess with peanut shells and cold dishes. Liu Weidong lay on the table and vaguely heard the voices of discussion outside the door. Yu opened his eyes, and Liu Weidong's mind went blank. Where is this? Who am I? After sitting up straight on his waist, he found that his neck and shoulders were creaking, causing a heart-wrenching pain. Steel rolling plant, Yuzhu, Siheyuan, Su Dumao, Grandpa Yi. Memories swept through Liu Weidong's mind like pouring lead, causing him another headache. Slowly, Liu Weidong finally digested the entire memory. He traveled to the courtyard houses of the 1960s, and his predecessor's name happened to be Liu Weidong. Liu Weidong's mother passed away early on. His father, Lu Qianshan, was a cook at a steel rolling mill. After finally pulling Liu Weidong up, Lu Qianshan also fell ill from overwork and passed away 3 years ago. After his father's death, Liu Weidong ascended to the position of a cook at the steel rolling mill. 3 years later, Liu Weidong can be considered an apprentice to a full-time employee this year. A few days ago, Liu Weidong was taking the cooking staff rating exam. If he could pass it smoothly, his salary, which was originally over 20 yuan per month, could increase to 30 yuan. People of similar age around him have gradually started their own families and businesses, and Liu Weidong knows he doesn't have a family to rely on. He tightened his belt and lived frugally for several years, barely saving a few tens of yuan. Afterwards, Liu Weidong entrusted the matchmaker with money and fell in love with a girl from a textile factory. When it was time to talk about marriage, the deaf old lady in the yard and Mr. Yi Zhonghai secretly messed up the marriage. The reason why the deaf old lady Yi Zhonghai did this was nothing more than hoping that Yuzhu could take care of them for their retirement in the future, which led to such a messy matter of cutting off the beard and splitting the marriage. At the critical moment of engagement a few days ago, the deaf old lady Yi Zhonghai secretly pulled on the girl and talked nonsense, even using Liu Weidong's mother who passed away in difficult childbirth and his father who passed away due to illness as articles. What do you mean? Liu Weidong was born to be a jinx and committed the heavenly Shah, which would kill those close to him. The girl was so frightened when she heard these things that she dared not come to the courtyard again. The two old men couldn't match Yuzhu with the girl anymore, and the matter came to an end. Afterwards, Liu Weidong also roughly knew the reason for his divorce, but he was full of anger but couldn't vent it. He knew he couldn't compete with these two immortals in the courtyard, so he could only sigh and give up. The most despicable thing is that Liu Weidong's hard-earned savings of several tens of yuan were wasted. Without money, it means we can't talk about a wife. Wait a few more years and save up the money, then even the yellow cauliflower will be cold. Seeing that he was about to become single, Liu Weidong had no intention of preparing for the cooking staff rating the previous 2 days. This led to Liu Weidong, who was feeling depressed, once again performing poorly and failing to pass the chef's rating. Last night, Liu Weidong, who bought 3 jin of aged baijiu, used the wine to drown his sorrows. Closing the door of the room and drinking alone is like a drunken dream. Finally unconscious, TSK. The deaf old lady and Yi Zhonghai are two old immortals. They are really harming others and not benefiting themselves. Thinking that he had experienced such calculations before, Liu Weidong frowned with displeasure. This tone, he must fight back well. When watching TV dramas, Liu Weidong was very unhappy watching Yi Zhonghai and the deaf old lady. These two old and disrespectful immortals are too hateful. Mr. Yi Zhonghai always pretends to be a good person, and under the mask of hypocrisy, he is constantly calculating. Something big or small happened in the yard, and Mr. Yi always appears to favor the foolish pillar. The purpose is obvious, Mr. Yi is to help silly pillar establish an authoritative image in the courtyard. When he is no longer in the position of Lord One in the future, it is only natural for him to support silly pillar in his position. Silly pillar will naturally have to remember Lord One's kindness. Grandpa Yi, who has no children, hopes that Silly Zhu can take care of him for retirement in the future. As for Liu Weidong, who has no father, no mother, and no reliance, he has been tricked into making blood, sweat, blind date money, and so on. He doesn't care so much about it. Anyway, he is the master of the courtyard. And that deaf old lady is even more despicable. This old lady just looks kind and amiable. In order to arrange a partner for Silly Zhu, she uses many tricks behind her back. After Liu Shaoyi divorced, it was the deaf old lady who arranged to lock her and Silly Zhu in the same room, with impure intentions. The deaf old lady, who relies on her old age to sell off her old age, secretly favors Silly Zhu and treats him like a grandchild to win him over. Only the wrong name, not the wrong nickname. Yuzhu also deserves the nickname, Silly Pillar. Being foolishly trapped by someone is simply a pure injustice. Yuzhu, who was obsessed with all kinds of meat and vegetables by Qin Huai Ru, deserves to have been sucking blood for most of his life with his family. Combined with the calculations of Yi Zhonghai and the deaf old lady, Yuzhu almost went bankrupt and ended up with no success. Birds fill the courtyard. This name is indeed not for nothing. Thinking of this, Liu Weidong let out a long sigh. Can I continue to stay here? Living in the same courtyard with this group of beasts, either being calculated or being tricked. I must move out of this land of right and wrong as soon as possible. However, in this era, houses are allocated by units such as the Housing Management Bureau and the Street Office, and private buying and selling of houses and residential properties is not allowed. Moreover, Liu Weidong doesn't have much money on hand, so he plans to rent a house first and then consider it in the long run. Just as Liu Weidong started packing his house and luggage, several strange noises echoed in his mind. Ding! Binding system for host. Ding! The resentment value system has been successfully bound. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a system gift package. Do you want to activate it now? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Complaint Value System. To deceive silly pillars together. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Complaint Value System. Foolish fools move together. The resentment value system. Liu Weidong, who has read a certain Liu novel in his previous life, is not unfamiliar with the system. He felt a slight joy in his heart and checked the specific functions of the system. This system can collect resentment values generated by others. The more people generate resentment, the larger the resentment, and the more resentment values the system will collect. The resentment value can be used in the system mall to exchange for various goods, including but not limited to items for food, accommodation, props, and skills. After understanding the specific functions of the system, Liu Weidong did not think much about it for the time being. After all, the top priority is to quickly move out of the courtyard house. He doesn't want to stay in this place full of beasts and animals for an extra second. Liu Weidong suddenly noticed that the system had returned a gift package after binding. He estimated that the contents of this gift package might have some effect, and then recited in his heart. Open the gift pack. Ding! Opening system gift package for host. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a bicycle ticket. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Level 1 cooking skills. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining Residence 1. Upon hearing the system prompts echoing in his mind, Liu Weidong was immediately overjoyed. In this era where buying meat requires meat tickets and buying grain requires grain tickets, bicycle tickets can be said to be hard to come by for ordinary people. Bicycles are already rare, and bicycle tickets are even rarer. No less than a supercar in the future. Riding a bicycle, when the bell rings, the pedestrians on the entire street will cast envious gazes. The rating of a cook is different from that of the highest level 8 fitter and blacksmith. The first level is the highest rating for the cook profession. You should know that as the head chef and class monitor of the cafeteria, Yuzhu is just an 8th level cook. If Liu Weidong had not performed poorly before, he would have been a level 10 cook now. Now, the system has directly given Liu Weidong a first-class chef's cooking skills. With this skill, even if Liu Weidong resigns from the steel rolling mill in the future, he can still open his own shop and become a chef. The most important thing is, the residences rewarded by the system are also located in Nanluoga Lane. This is a location within the second ring road of 49 cities. Not to mention anything else, even if Liu Weidong doesn't do anything, just keeping this house for the future would be priceless. Now that he has a new residence, Liu Weidong naturally doesn't have to go outside to find a house to rent anymore, which saves him a lot of trouble. Liu Weidong neatly packed his luggage, packed his bags, and prepared to go out and borrow a tricycle to move. The people chatting in the courtyard have long dispersed. With a creak, Liu Weidong pushed open the door and came out. The second uncle Liu Haizhong, who was about to go home, saw him and asked. Liu Weidong, if you don't go to work today, you'll be covered in alcohol fumes. This is a serious lifestyle issue. If you lose your job, don't ask me to intercede for you. Liu Weidong also had a deep impression of the second uncle Liu Haizhong. Mr. Eyre is a typical officialdom fan who likes to meddle in his own affairs. At home, he even favors his eldest son and beats and scolds his other two sons. As a result, in the end, we ended up with parents being unkind and children being unfilial. Alright, don't worry about it. I'll move out today. With an indifferent glance, Liu Weidong glanced at Liu Haizhong and continued to search for his tricycle. From now on, I won't have much to do with you anymore, let alone ask for your help. Hey! You kid! Out of anger, Liu Haizhong suddenly remembered what Liu Weidong had just said. What's going on? Liu Weidong is moving. Last night, there was a light snowfall, and the roadside cypress was wrapped in silver. On the road, there were 2 or 3 pedestrians, the old chimney was steaming upwards, and a few children were having a snowball fight on the roadside. Liu Weidong crossed the front street, borrowed a tricycle, and pushed it back to the courtyard. Cough, have Weidong eaten it yet? Hey! Don't rush to leave. Let's discuss something with you. Seeing that Liu Weidong had returned, Grandpa Yan Bugui rubbed his hands and came up. Do you have any plans to change hands on this old house? Yan Jicheng, the eldest son of the Yan Bugui family, has been in talks with someone and has been preparing for his marriage recently. But in this way, the original family of 6 plus a daughter. In-law would be too crowded and inconvenient to live in. If they could take over the old house of Liu Weidong's family and let Yan Jiefen's family live outside, Yan Bugui's family would be much easier. Upon hearing these words, Liu Weidong couldn't help but furrow his brow slightly. I didn't expect the news of my move to spread so quickly throughout the entire hospital. Liu Haizhong, this old guy, really doesn't have a gatekeeper on his mouth. Although the old house will not come back often in the future, it is still an old courtyard house within the second ring road, and it will definitely be priceless in the future. Liu Weidong would not be foolish enough to easily resell to Yan Bugui. Uncle San, don't think about my old mansion anymore. I'll tell you, just 2 words. No way. With a single refusal, Liu Weidong pushed his tricycle into the courtyard. Jia Zhang, who was picking up the soles of her shoes at the door, began to look strange. Humph, this guy who committed the heavenly evil should have moved out long ago. Liu Weidong glanced at Jia Zhangshi. When he first talked about the mess where his target was stirred up by Mr. Yi and the deaf old lady, if the 2 old people used the phrase, committing the heavenly Sha, to write articles, it was first spread from Mr. Jia and Ms. Zhang. After Jia Dongxiu, the son of Jia Zhang, passed away last year, the widowed Qin Huai Ru took up his position to support his family alone. Yi Zhonghai, the first uncle, proposed to raise funds from the hospital to support Qin Huai Ru's family. At that time, Liu Weidong did not provide assistance to the Jia family due to poor economic conditions at home, and the Jia and Zhang families held a grudge in their hearts. Ha! Not to mention whether I was destined to commit the heavenly Sha. Liu Weidong chuckled lightly, withdrew his gaze from Jia Zhang's and said to himself. I see, some people hit Kefu and Kezi at least for real. Moreover, Qin Huai Ru has already defeated Jia Dongxiu. Maybe in the future, those few little ones. Jia Zhang's face darkened and he glared at Liu Weidong. Who are you talking about? Seeing Jia Zhang's anxiety, Liu Weidong smiled. If you don't say anyone, who responds to me, that's who it is. Damn it. You Liu Weidong, who killed thousands of dollars, don't talk nonsense. Upon hearing this, Jia Zhang actually cursed at Liu Weidong directly. Yi Zhonghai, a kind-hearted person who also lived in the courtyard, stepped forward to uphold justice. Liu Weidong, what you said is too much, it's simply disrespectful. I'll make a decision for you. Apologize to Jia Zhang and let this matter go. The dignified Yi Zhonghai relied on these trivial matters to make decisions in the yard. Yi Zhonghai, can you manage it? You help me make decisions, I have nothing to do with you anymore. Liu Weidong said, continuing to push the tricycle towards the backyard. I'm moving out today, and I still care about what you think of me. Liu Weidong's blatant words and actions left Yi Zhonghai and Jia Zhangshi unsure of how to take the conversation for a while. Complaint value +1. Upon hearing the system prompt ringing in his mind, Liu Weidong was overjoyed. After moving out of the courtyard, there was a lot of commotion here, and it didn't affect me either. When the time comes, find a way to stir up Yi Zhonghai and the elderly deaf woman's retirement plan, and you will definitely be able to collect more resentment points. At this moment, Yi Zhou followed from behind. While Liu Weidong was crossing the steps, he helped lift the tricycle. Liu Weidong, why are you suddenly moving? The two of them live together in a courtyard and both work as chefs in a steel rolling mill. I usually look down but don't look up, and in addition, Yi Zhou is the head chef. He is one of the few people who can talk to Liu Weidong. Upon seeing Yi Zhou, Liu Weidong immediately had a plan in his mind. Since the birds in the courtyard are either plotting against themselves or harboring hostility towards them, why don't he make a fuss over the courtyard before he leaves? If we could trick Yi Zhou into moving together, we might even collect more resentment points. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Inform Foolish Zhu. Yi Zhonghai intercepted whose letter? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Inform Foolish Zhu. Yi Zhonghai intercepts whose letter? Qin Huai Ru has already been intrauterine device, IUD, inserted. Liu Weidong pretended to be mysterious and asked Yi Zhou to follow him to his home. He lowered his voice and said mysteriously to Yi Zhou. I have encountered an expert who told me my fortune. My bad luck is not due to my fate, but rather because there is a problem with the feng shui of this courtyard house. I have found a feng shui treasure trove and am ready to move it over for my own transportation. Silly pillar, do you want to go with me? Upon hearing this, Yi Zhou shook his head. He didn't believe in fortune-telling or feng shui at all. Moreover, Yi Zhou felt that his childhood was smooth sailing and there was no reason to move with Liu Weidong. Hey, are you really stupid or fake stupid, silly pillar? There's just a lot of things you don't know. This place is full of villains. Do you know that? My marriage with the girl from the textile factory was ruined by the deaf old lady and Yi Zhonghai. They secretly spoke ill of me and scared the girl away. No, what are you saying? Why didn't I understand a single word? For a moment, the amount of information was too large, and Yi Zhou didn't understand what Liu Weidong meant. Back then, I finally saved up money and had someone introduce me to a partner, and I fell in love with a girl from a textile factory. Liu Weidong repeated the whole story in detail. It's the kind old man in your eyes, Yi Zhonghai, and the deaf old lady. They keep talking about what kind of fate I have committed to the heavenly demon, and keep the girl away from me. Yi Zhou didn't believe it, he scratched his forehead. Liu Weidong, don't slander Mr. One and the deaf old lady, they are not that kind of people. Okay, let's not talk about me, let's talk about your head office. Liu Weidong decided not to give up and said. When your father He Daqing left you, it wasn't that there was no news. He has actually been sending letters to you all these years. But all those letters were intercepted by Yi Zhonghai. Are you telling the truth? Yuzhu was shocked and opened his mouth wide, unable to believe it. Absolutely true. If you don't believe it, go to the post office and ask the postman yourself, and naturally understand. At this moment, Yuzhu hesitated. Because his father Yi Daqing has always been a pain in his heart. If Yi Zhonghai really intervened in this matter, then no matter what his intentions are, he is not a good person. Then I'll go ask tomorrow and see. Yuzhu looked at Liu Weidong, such a big thing. He also believes that Liu Weidong is unlikely to talk nonsense. As long as the postman is found, the truth can be uncovered. Silly pillar, I ask you, why are you being so good to Qin Huai Ru? Taking advantage of Yuzhu's chaotic and hesitant thoughts, Liu Weidong is pressing forward step by step. Keep asking questions. Do you want to form a family with Qin Huai Ru by taking the risk of being investigated by the security department every day and bringing food to Qin Huai Ru's family? That. I'm not, hey. I just see that their family is quite difficult. Upon hearing this, Yuzhu looked quite embarrassed. He can't really say he cares about other people's widows, can he? This is all a courtyard, and according to the social customs of this era, this kind of thing cannot be put on the table. Jia Dongshu has only passed away for over a year, and although Yuzhu is quite close to Qin Huai Ru, most of them are hidden and not visible. Otherwise, in this era, rumors and gossip can kill people. Silly Zhu, don't worry about Qin Huai Ru anymore. There won't be any outcome between you and her. The protagonist sees this and throws out another heavyweight message. Not long after Jia Dongshu's death, Qin Huai Ru was forced by Jia Zhang to have an IUD inserted. Silly Zhu, if you really plan to be with Qin Huai Ru, then you need to consider carefully. You don't have your own biological children with Qin Huai Ru in the future. You can only raise children for others' families. If you encounter a white-eyed wolf who doesn't give you retirement, then the rest of your life will be over. Liu Weidong blurted out all these hidden secrets, which suffocated Yuzhu for a moment. She clearly. Yuzhu was still pondering that in the past, Qin Huai Ru knew it was impossible to be with him and was still so close to him. Are these all faked by Qin Huai Ru? If these are all true, the more Yuzhu thinks, the more painful it becomes. When he thought about raising children for others in the future, he would not have any results with Qin Huai Ru, and he broke out in a cold sweat. Isn't this pure being played as a monkey by others? Living out of it is a big injustice. Yuzhu stood still, unsure of what to do. He can't believe that this courtyard house has such deep water. Normally, everyone gets along quite well, but I didn't expect these people to be calculating themselves. Seeing Yuzhu lost in thought, Liu Weidong, who knew he had achieved his goal, didn't say much more. He continued to tidy up the blankets, bedding, and clothes in the room, and carried them one by one onto the tricycle. After completing these tasks, Liu Weidong saw Yuzhu still staring blankly like a piece of wood, so he directly spoke up. Hey, I'm saying, silly pillar, what have you been thinking for so long? I have already installed the car and will be leaving soon. If you don't believe it, you can go find the postman to collect evidence. Go to the hospital or ask other neighbors' aunties if Qin Huai Ru has already been intrauterine device, IUD, inserted. Liu Weidong's words completely awakened Yuzhu. He seemed to have made some major decision and walked towards the courtyard with a gloomy face. Coincidentally, I also bumped into Yi Zhonghai as he walked in and hit his shoulder. You idiot, why are you going? Yi Zhonghai then realized that Yuzhu's expression was not quite right, and quickly pretended to be concerned, saying. Silly Zhu, your complexion is not very good. Are you sick? I'm fine. Yuzhu shook his head coldly. At this moment, he has already made a decision in his heart. Go to the post office and hospital tomorrow to ask and see. No silly pillar, you. Yi Zhonghai was confused, but Yuzhu had already turned around and left. Liu Weidong saw this and whistled, carrying a big bag in a small bag. He is pushing a tricycle and preparing to move to his new home. Pushing the tricycle to the entrance of the courtyard, Liu Weidong turned around. Before leaving, he glanced at the courtyard with great interest. The seed of doubt has now been planted in Yuzhu's heart. Until tomorrow when it blooms and bears fruit, the entire quadrangle will inevitably be restless and restless. At that time, I will be able to collect a large number of resentment values from this group of people myself. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Yuzhu Finds the Truth. I also need to move. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 4. Yuzhu Finds the Truth. I also want to move out of the courtyard. The new house rewarded by the system is also a small courtyard in Nanluoga Lane. Although the area is not very large, it is still a standalone courtyard. If you get married and have children here in the future, it will definitely not be a problem. Green tiles and white walls. There are several simple brick carvings with breathable holes on the side of the courtyard door, which are simple but also quite exquisite. With a babbling sound, Liu Weidong pushed open the door and entered. There are 2 small cypress trees planted on one left and one right in the courtyard, with withered and yellow leaves. Remove the luggage from the tricycle, pack them one by one into the house, and then clean up a few fallen leaves in the yard. After a busy day, Liu Weidong also felt tired. After washing up, he comfortably made the bed and slept. The next day, after Liu Weidong woke up, he whistled and went to work at the steel rolling mill. But as soon as I arrived at the kitchen, I heard that Yuzhu was on leave today. This guy should be busy with some things. It is estimated that Yuzhu went to the post office and hospital today to verify what he said yesterday. If those things are not understood, Yuzhu estimates that there will be 10,000 ants scratching their hearts, not peaceful. This Yuzhu. His grandmother, it's not good to take a leave of absence when we have to take a leave today. Our kitchen was already busy and couldn't handle it anymore. He, the head chef and class monitor of the cafeteria, suddenly took a leave of absence. How else can we do our work? The cafeteria director cursed and prepared to have someone bring Yuzhu to work. However, after the cafeteria director came in, he saw that although the kitchen was a bit busy, it was doing something lively and colorful. The dishes made by Liu Weidong with a spoon are also full of color, aroma, and flavor, without any trace of the craftsmanship before Yuzhu. Even the efficiency of cooking is higher than that of Yuzhu. This can also be attributed to the system's reward yesterday. After all, the cooking skills of first-level cooks are not built, and Liu Weidong naturally managed this kind of big pot rice in the cafeteria with ease. Not bad, not bad. Liu Weidong, you're really hiding it. I used to take a bad look at these dishes you made before. Aren't they good? I want to taste them even after seeing them. So, today you can work hard and take on that silly job, cooking well. I'll help you fight for another chance to get an extra cook rating. You will perform well and strive to pass the rating. The cafeteria director is very satisfied with Liu Weidong's performance. He actually felt that the cafeteria couldn't rely too much on Yuzhu. After all, there are so many workers in the steel rolling mill who have food issues. Don't rely too much on one person, it's difficult to deal with problems. Okay, thank you, director. Liu Weidong seized this opportunity and firmly established a good relationship with the cafeteria director before proceeding. Unlike the lively atmosphere on this side, Yuzhu on the other end was cursing in his heart at this moment. He has already been to the post office and the hospital, which is exactly what Liu Weidong said. Yi Zhonghai, this cunning old man, maliciously visits the post office every week to inquire if there are any letters from his father He Da-Qing. If there were any, he would take them directly from the postman's hand and say to take them back to the courtyard and give them to Yuzhu. In fact, Yuzhu has never seen his father's letter. What made Yi Zhonghai even more incredulous was that in order to avoid revealing the truth, Yi Zhonghai, who was a notorious dog, secretly replied to his father He Daqing's letter in his name, which was also sent from the post office. The back and forth, Yi Zhonghai was kept in the dark, and the distant He Daqing was also kept in the dark. What benefits did Yi Zhonghai gain from it? Yi Zhonghai can't figure it out at all. Immediately after, Yi Zhonghai came to the hospital again. For Qin Huai Ru, Yi Zhonghai has actually never had a second heart. He knew that Qin Huai Ru was also tacitly agreeing to be good to her, and sometimes the two of them would also flirt with each other. Yi Zhonghai thought that emotions were slowly being cultivated. He took risks every day to bring things to Qin Huai Ru's family and raised her whole family. Qin Huai Ru would definitely be moved by himself. Unexpectedly, this Qin Huai Ru is really like what Liu Weidong said, already getting an IUD. The more Yi Zhonghai thought about these trivial matters, the more he felt uncomfortable. In this courtyard, there are many other things that keep him in the dark. Fortunately, he still enjoys himself in the courtyard every day. It turns out that others treat him like a fool playing around. Sigh. With another sigh, Yi Zhonghai silently packed his luggage. This old house actually doesn't have many items, and Yi Zhonghai quickly tidied it up. Bad feng shui brings out bad people, perhaps it's really like what Liu Weidong said, I also have to move and leave here. Otherwise, in the future, it's possible that my father won't recognize me, and even the son he raised will be someone else's fate. I won't accept that anger, Yi Zhonghai. Determined, Yi Zhonghai also packed up all his things. Today, while going to the hospital and post office, Yi Zhonghai also went to see Mr. Feng Shui for fortune-telling, and then paid to explore several houses with good feng shui. There is a place not far from the steel rolling mill, and it makes sense in terms of feng shui. He plans to move in today. Maybe we can transfer soon and meet a good girl's partner. Yi Zhonghai pushed the tricycle towards the outside of the yard. Hey, silly pillar, what are you doing now? At this moment, the deaf old lady and Aunt Yi came back from a walk outside and hesitated to stop Yi Zhonghai. Why are you pushing a tricycle like Liu Weidong who went crazy last night? Yeah, silly pillar, what's going on with your big and small bags? Aunt Yi took Silly Zhu's hand and asked with a pretense of concern. I'm also moving today. I can't stay in this dilapidated place anymore, please dodge and don't block my path. Yi Zhonghai did not give these two people a good face. The deaf old lady and Yi Zhonghai's previous involvement in Liu Weidong's marriage clearly indicates that they are part of the same group. Aunt Yi is Yi Zhonghai's wife, so naturally she can't get rid of it. Anyway, no one in Yi Zhonghai's entire courtyard is pleasing to the eye now. He didn't like to explain too much, so he pushed the car to avoid these two people and insisted on walking outside. Don't worry, what are you doing, silly pillar? What's bothering you? Can't you discuss with us? Aunt Yi is in a hurry, she can't let Silly Zhu leave the courtyard like this. Not to mention anything else, she, Yi Zhonghai, and the deaf old lady all hope to rely on Yi Zhonghai for retirement in the future. At critical moments, even deaf women are not confused. She directly covered her head and pondered, saying, Hey! My head! Tell Yi Zhonghai to come back and take me to the hospital. Silly pillar, you're here to watch our ancestors. Upon seeing this, Aunt Yi also knew that there was a deaf old lady here, and Yi Zhonghai couldn't leave for a while. I'll go and call you back, Mr. Yi. The deaf old lady's move of pretending to be sick actually dragged down Yi Zhonghai. Yi Zhonghai had originally planned to leave by force, but he also wanted to take this opportunity to confirm the letter sent by his father He Daqing with Mr. Yi. Especially if there is still a financial issue involved, Yi Zhonghai will have to reclaim that money. P.S. The data is too bleak, and I feel a bit uncomfortable in my heart. These data are my biggest motivation for coding. My hand speed is very fast, basically over 18,000 yuan per day, and I have already saved 10 chapters. Starting with a fixed update of 4 chapters per day, currently it is 0 flowers. As long as there are 300 flowers, add one more chapter immediately. As long as there is a reward. Little brother, add another chapter immediately. As long as there are 200 review tickets, I will immediately add another chapter, I will never break my promise. As long as there is data, I will immediately explode and update. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Me, foolish pillar, must move out of the courtyard. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Me, foolish pillar, must move out of the courtyard. On the other side. Under the streetlights, the long street turned late, and the last bit of the sunset had already dissipated. The dusk was lit up by the fireworks of the long street. Yi Zhonghai, who had just finished work with his hands behind his back, walked briskly back to the courtyard. Grandpa Yi, what a coincidence. You just finished work. Turning to the corner, Qin Huai Ru greeted Yi Zhonghai. On weekdays, there are many people in the courtyard, and there are some things I can't say to you. In fact, I am quite grateful to you and Silly Zhu for taking care of our family. If it weren't for your assistance, this family wouldn't really know what to do. Without her husband, Qin Huai Ru's life will be much more difficult than before, and she has long been mentally prepared for it. Similarly, if you don't have the ability to make people happy, those procrastinators may only be able to grow up eating from 100 families. These few words made Yi Zhonghai feel comfortable, smiled, but pretended to be polite. What kind of words are these? We are all in the same courtyard, neighbors, and it is only right to help each other. But in reality, Yi Zhonghai is still secretly calculating all of this. The previous target of intercepting Liu Weidong was not successful, but now he clearly feels that Qin Huai Ru and Silly Zhu are Wangba looking at Green Bean. They are in eye contact. If I could come up with a way with the deaf old lady to let Silly Zhu pass through Jia Zhang's hurdle and match Qin Huai Ru and Silly Zhu together, Silly Zhu wouldn't know how to thank himself in the end. Silly Zhu is a person who values kindness. When they grow old, he will not ignore their feelings or reason. In this way, the matter of elderly care has been settled. Thinking of this, Yi Zhonghai's heart became increasingly proud, and a smile couldn't help but appear on his face. Grandpa, what kind of happy thing did you think of? You look so happy. Well. There's something I don't know if you've heard of. Qin Huai Ru hesitated to speak. She is not hesitant or embarrassed, she is just pretending to be reserved and cannot be seen as a widow with much affection. What's going on? I won't be stuttering with you, just tell me. Yi Zhonghai knows that he is currently on the same boat as Qin Huai Ru. If there are any difficulties, he will definitely help if he can. Did you hear that Silly Zhu didn't go to work today? What's going on? Qin Huai Ru didn't really care if something happened to Yuzhu or if he was feeling unwell when she asked this question. She just cares that Silly Zhu didn't go to work today, which means she can't bring out delicious food from the kitchen of the steel rolling mill. Thinking of the 3 starving children and the mother-in-law Jia Zhang who would force her to criticize others if she couldn't eat good food one day, Qin Huai Ru felt her head grow bigger. Is there such a thing? Suddenly, Yi Zhonghai's eyebrows furrowed tightly, and his left eyebrow twitched coldly. He has an ominous premonition. And last night Silly Pillar was really not in the right state, he didn't go to work today. I'm not very clear about this situation either. Yi Zhonghai murmured lightly and analyzed, but Silly Zhu is reliable and won't do anything out of line. He might just have something to do and ask for leave from the factory. Before she could finish speaking, Aunt Yi rushed over in a hurry. I finally found you. Lao Yi. Hurry back to the courtyard. Aunt Yi was panting heavily, and Grandpa Yi quickly asked. What's going on, so urgent? Is something happening in the courtyard? Seeing that Aunt Yi couldn't catch her breath, Qin Huai Ru quickly comforted her back and asked her to calm down before speaking slowly. But Aunt Yi knew the urgency of the matter, so she made a long story short, picked the key points, and uttered 5 words. Silly pillar wants to move. Upon hearing these words, Qin Huai Ru and Yi Zhonghai were greatly shocked. Yi Zhonghai is counting on silly pillars for retirement. The plan to raise the boss started to be laid out by Yi Zhonghai after he Daqing left. Despite exhausting his calculations, Yi Zhonghai never expected that one day Yuzhu would move directly from the courtyard. That took 10 years of hard work to lay out today, and as the final attack was about to be launched, it must not be destroyed in a few days. On the side of Qin Huai Ru, he was even more unwilling to let Yuzhu move away. Since Jia Dongshu's death, the Qin Huai Ru family has almost been raised by silly pillars. For over a year, the whole family has been raised plump and white, but it is even more nourishing than when Jia Dongshu was around. Having a comfortable life of eating and drinking, Qin Huai Ru doesn't want to go back to the days when she couldn't eat enough and dress well. Yuzhu left with such a slap on his butt, what should they do? The two of them exchanged a glance, didn't say much, and hurried back towards the courtyard. After all, Aunt Yi is getting old and walking with her hips crossed behind her, so she can't catch up. You two slow down, ouch. I'm an old arm and legs. These two people didn't care about Aunt Yi and headed straight to the courtyard. At this moment, the sound of arguments came from the door. The second uncle's bangs and the second aunt are earnestly persuading Yuzhu. Oh my, I'm saying, silly pillar. What are you doing this for? I can't think of it. There's no better place to rent a house outside than my own. Yeah, don't be led astray by that Liu Weidong. Our courtyard is so beautiful, and our neighbors are all in harmony. If you go somewhere else, I don't know who you'll meet. The two of them, grandpa and aunt, were arguing and refusing to let Yuzhu leave. No matter what neighbors are, they are better than the bad feng shui here. This courtyard is full of criminals, and I can't stay any longer. Silly pillar swings his sleeve, but he doesn't listen to advice. Our courtyard has always had good feng shui. Where did you hear such nonsense? For example, if there is an old person in the family, it is like having a treasure. The deaf old lady here is precious to our ancestors. She usually treats you like a grandchild, a silly pillar. The old lady always helps you take care of you in everything. Now that you leave, she is bound to fall ill, and she relies entirely on you to take care of her. Grandpa pulled out the deaf old lady and played a love card. And the deaf old lady naturally understood, pretending to be pitiful in her clothes and leaning against the door frame, calling out to Yuzhu, grandson, my silly pillar, don't leave. The deaf old lady's acting skills are quite impressive, and her pitiful old age makes people not only cry when they see her. And the voice is portrayed deeply, with a poignant and tragic emotion, coupled with a trembling tone of reluctance to part with the grandson, making people unable to bear to hear it and make the elderly person sad. No, no one can stop me. Liu Weidong told me last night that the feng shui in the courtyard is not good and there are villains. I don't believe it yet, but today I have investigated everything thoroughly. Humph, there are really many villains. I have to move out of this rundown place today. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Does Silly Zhu know that Grandpa Yi gave the letter to? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Did Silly Zhu know that Grandpa Yi had intercepted the letter? The commotion caused by Yuzhu attracted many people from the courtyard to watch. Moreover, when it comes to feng shui and villains, it is even more insidious. Uncle Liu Haizhong heard Yuzhu mention Liu Weidong and remembered the situation where Liu Weidong moved out overnight last night. He probably understood something. Seeing Yuzhu's stubborn and disobedient appearance, the second uncle muttered inwardly, this foolish pillar is really foolish, even believing Liu Weidong's lies. If it weren't for Liu Weidong taking the lead in moving out and causing this kind of thing, even if everyone was going to move out, Silly Zhu wouldn't have thought of it. If someone really moves out one after another within 2 days, and there are rumors of feng shui problems in the Red Star Courtyard, then the reputation here will become bad. Isn't it that I, the second uncle, will also lose face? Liu Weidong knows Yuzhu well. This person has a stubborn temper, and once they determine something, they are unlikely to change it. He must find a way to change Yuzhu's thoughts, otherwise the entire courtyard will be finished in the future. As the second uncle, his bangs are still young now, but he has the opportunity to become the first uncle here in the future. He doesn't want to cause a storm in the city and ruin the reputation of this place because of Yuzhu. Thinking of this, Liu Weidong held on to Yuzhu's tricycle and said, "Don't listen to that Liu Weidong's nonsense. He knows nothing. It's a new era now, and fortune-telling and feng shui are feudal superstitions." But Yuzhu has always been at odds with Uncle Air, and he couldn't listen to Liu Weidong's words at all. He quickly broke open Liu Weidong's hand. "I'm too lazy to tell you. When that person surnamed E comes back, I'll confront him and figure out something. I'll leave immediately." Yuzhu held hands and sat under the dim yellow street lamp, exuding a fierce aura. The second aunt was puzzled and whispered, "What are you really asking? We are all in the same courtyard, so if you have something to say, you should say it carefully." The two of them couldn't figure it out, but the deaf old lady on one side had her ears sharp at this moment and immediately understood the situation. She was secretly surprised in her heart, thinking that perhaps the incident of Yi Zhonghai intercepting Hu Daqing's letter had been discovered. Looking back at the beginning, this idea was actually proposed by the deaf old lady and Yi Zhonghai back then. They all wanted to lure Yuzhu to their side. Counting back, this old lady is a member of the 5 guarantees household in the yard, with the assistance of the government. She can receive a few yuan in subsidies every month, so retirement is not a problem. But the deaf old lady always felt that when people get old, there should be someone who can care about them, and it's best to have someone like a young and reliable family member to comfort them. Therefore, the deaf old lady observed among the young people in the courtyard for a long time before finally choosing the unjust leader Yuzhu. At that moment, I happened to encounter Hu Daqing leaving, and Yuzhu became helpless. It was the time when family ties were vacant. The active appearance of the deaf old lady Yi Zhonghai showed little concern for Yuzhu, slowly establishing a relationship, while on the other hand cutting off the communication between Yuzhu and his father Hu Daqing. As a result, Yuzhu's hatred towards his father grew deeper and deeper, while his relationship with the deaf old lady Yi Zhonghai gradually deepened and became closer. So whenever there is something big or small in the yard that is related to Yuzhu, Zhonghai and the deaf old lady will favor Yuzhu. Usually, there are some food and drinks that can be given to Yuzhu, and they will also bring some over. The helpless Yuzhu felt the warmth of human relationships in the courtyard, and naturally had a good impression of the deaf old lady and Yi Zhonghai in his heart. Over time, the relationship between the three has always been under the calculation of the deaf old lady. After 10 years of planning, the deaf old lady Yi Zhonghai has been carefully executing the plan and has never made any mistakes. Now it seems that Yuzhu has discovered something, and the deaf old lady naturally cannot ignore it. The old lady's eyes twitched as she was about to stand up and play the pitiful card to keep Yuzhu, only to find herself walking over with a playful smile on her face. "Oh," I said, "silly pillar. If you want to leave, just leave. What's the point of lying here shouting and screaming? Not to mention the impact on transportation, others think you're the widow who hung you. Why do you have to cry, make a scene, and hang yourself?" Su Damao was swaying around in front of Yuzhu with his hand, just to disgust Yuzhu with his strange energy. "Get lost, it's none of your business here." Yuzhu has always been at odds with Su Damao, and now he is feeling annoyed and doesn't have time to argue with Su Damao. "Don't worry, I'm trying to maintain public order in the courtyard. You're blocking the entrance of the courtyard, it's so ugly." I think you have too many things to push, right? Have you been working too hard lately and your whole body is feeling weak? Come on, let me give you a push. Speaking, Su Damao raised his eyebrows and stood behind Yuzhu's tricycle, pretending to push it a few times. The second uncle and second aunt next to him also knew that Su Damao was here to cause trouble, so they quickly grabbed him and said, "Go, go, go. What are you meddling in? Stay where it's cool. If he really leaves, you won't get any benefits. Haven't you guys understood yet? He has no intention of leaving at all. If he really wants to leave, why wait for Grandpa One? He'll just leave with 3 clean wheels, won't he?" Su Damao continued to ridicule Yuzhu on the side. In the courtyard, Su Damao has always been overshadowed by Yuzhu. Today, he finally seized the opportunity, and Su Damao has no intention of letting it go. The onlookers grew more and more due to Su Damao's shouting, and after hearing his words, they all pointed and pointed. "Oh, isn't that Silly Zhu? What's he doing? It seems to have something to do with Grandpa Yi. What's wrong with Feng Shui here? There are always villains out there. Didn't he have a good relationship with Grandpa Yi when he was a fool? Why did he suddenly have a conflict? Did Grandpa Yi do something that would harm his yin and virtue? I'm not sure. Maybe it is." Everyone was pointing and pointing, but they didn't know exactly what had happened. They were all waiting for Grandpa Yi to appear. "Let's go, why haven't you left yet?" Su Damao continued to sway in front of Yuzhu, tilting his head and asking, "Can't you bear to part with it?" "Humph, I'll be leaving soon. Let me tell you, there's not a good person in this place. I advise you to find time to move out, otherwise you won't have time to back out in the future." Yuzhu was too lazy to say so much to Su Damao, just lazily retorted. This sentence made the bangs on the side and the deaf old lady's face change. Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Uncle San has set his sights on Silly Zhu's old mansion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Uncle San has set his sights on Silly Zhu's old mansion. The dove occupies the magpie's nest. What Yuzhu said in his mouth was, "There's not a good person in this damn place." There are 2 meanings, one is that the place is broken, and the other is that there is no good person. Obviously, they were all included. Suddenly, Grandpa Liu Weidong became unhappy and said, "What are you saying? Just talk to whoever speaks." Yuzhu didn't take Uncle Air's trick seriously and didn't pay much attention to him. "Hey!" Grandpa Air lost his temper for a moment and prepared to explode. Su Damao snorted coldly next to him, smiled strangely, and said, "Just you uneducated person, being deceived and still helping others speak. Feng Shui is so evil, isn't it something that your cook can easily understand? Who are you saying is uneducated and who is a cook?" Yuzhu rolled up his sleeves and prepared to start tidying up Su Damao. "Don't say anything more. When has it been and you're still stirring up trouble here? You go back quickly." The deaf old lady scolded Su Damao and urged him to shut up quickly. She wasn't worried that Su Damao would be talking nonsense, she was just afraid that Su Damao would suffer a beating from Yuzhu and report to the government, so Yuzhu might have to move directly to prison. Moreover, Yuzhu is in a fit of anger and moving away immediately would be troublesome. Can't let Su Damao continue to stimulate Yuzhu. Usually, this old lady pretends to be deaf and mute, but when it comes to critical moments, her heart feels like a clear mirror, and she is quite skilled at judging the situation. Su Damao felt exhausted and didn't want to get angry with this deaf old lady. He just walked away cursing. The children in the courtyard couldn't help but laugh along with Su Damao's comical appearance. "Alright, big guy, just say a few words less. Lao Yi should also be back at this point. Let him make a decision later." Liu Weidong knew that Yuzhu was not very good at listening to him. Seeing the deaf old lady so worried, he was also afraid that she might cause some trouble. Thinking about waiting for Yi Zhonghai to come back, he must have a way to persuade Yuzhu to go home. There were many people gathered here at the entrance of the courtyard, some watching the excitement and others pointing and pointing. However, there was a person crossing their legs in the courtyard, calmly watching. "How can you still sit here like this? You're the third master in the yard, shouldn't you come forward and talk?" That's right, the person sitting and watching the tiger fight is none other than Uncle Yan Bugui, who is crossing his legs and watching with great interest. Aunt San naturally felt a bit puzzled. Normally, Yan Bugui, who is a good teacher, should have already taken action to explain the truth to Yuzhu. "What do you know? I have already understood the situation and am ready to sit and enjoy the benefits of fishing." Yan Bugui is from the divine Tao and did not speak clearly. "What are you talking about? What's the profit from fishing? Don't talk to me about those incomprehensible nonsense." Aunt San rolled her eyes impatiently. "Last night, when Liu Weidong was moving, I inquired and asked if he had any plans to transfer the old house. That kid refused no matter what, but look at the silly pillar." Third Uncle Yan Bugui deliberately played tricks and paused, without explicitly stating anything, just gesturing for third aunt to look towards silly pillar. "What's wrong with him?" Aunt San followed Grandpa San's gaze and still didn't quite understand. "Isn't that very obvious? This foolish pillar's attitude towards moving is resolute, and he even thinks from the bottom of his heart that the feng shui here is not good. He definitely doesn't want to keep his house. When the time comes, we—" Yan Bugui showed a meaningful smile, with a greedy golden light in his eyes. Aunt San finally understood. "When the time comes, let's take over their old He family's house and maybe we can even find a cheaper price. I didn't expect you to be quite confused on a regular basis, but you're still quite clever at critical moments now. If we can really take over Lao He's house, our family will have a good place to go after splitting up and marrying a wife. Their house is not too small." Upon hearing this, Aunt San couldn't help but feel a little excited. Silly Zhu dislikes this place, it seems that he doesn't want to have any further contact with it, and even has no connection with Yi Zhonghai. When the time comes, they will go up and pick up a leak, and then use some cold words to criticize Yi Zhonghai. They will take advantage of this opportunity to help Silly Zhu solve the urgent situation and take over the house at their own expense. Silly Zhu may even be counting money after losing the house. The more she thought, the happier she became. Aunt San couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. "Hey, you can do whatever you want. You need to have a city government, you know what. Otherwise, our plan will be ruined." Yan Bugui quickly pulled on Aunt La San and asked her to pay attention. "But we're under a lot of pressure to come out with such a large sum of money now. Aunt San is a woman-like family, so she naturally worries about things in many places. Although it is possible to buy Yuzhu's house at a low price, it is still a considerable amount of money. Let me tell you, old lady, we need to look further into this matter. If we buy a house now, it can be considered as relieving a lot of pressure for Yan Jicheng. We help pay, but this is included in the account. In the future, when we take on the family and start a business, we need to repay the money to the account. In this way, it's like we're giving a sum of money now to have our son save money for us to retire in the future, and it's not a loss at all. Yan Bugui really has him, even his own biological son needs to be accounted for." After listening, Aunt San gave a thumbs up to Yan Bugui. The two of them sat in the front yard watching the play, not in a hurry at all, and even the more lively the scene was, the happier they became. Just thinking about it, Yi Zhonghai and Qin Huai Ru rushed back from outside at the same time. "What's going on, silly pillar? What kind of trouble did you make?" Yi Zhonghai pulled his face, knowing that today's situation was not easy and he needed to make a bold move first. After so many years of operation, Zhonghai believes that he still has some weight in Yi Zhu's heart, and he hopes Yi Zhu is just momentarily confused. Oh hey, you've finally come back. You need to persuade Silly Zhu well. He doesn't know what's going on. If he doesn't go to work today, he'll just forget it. It's like he's been hit by an evil, and he has to move out of the courtyard today. What do you think this is? The deaf old lady quickly welcomed Yi Zhonghai and Qin Huai Ru as if she had seen a savior. Don't worry, patriarch, don't rush and damage your body. With me around, Silly Zhu won't move out. Yi Zhonghai walked up to Yi Zhu and asked with a serious expression. Silly Zhu, what's going on with you? You're not going to work today, and suddenly you're saying you're moving. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Intercept letters and secure. Yi Zhonghai's reputation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Intercept letters and secure. Yi Zhonghai's reputation is damaged. What's going on? Yi Zhu saw that Yi Zhonghai had finally arrived and snorted coldly, I wanted to ask you what's going on. Don't talk nonsense yet. Move all these things back and let the neighbors see them. What's going on? You've lost face in our courtyard house. Yi Zhonghai still has a stern face, trying to overwhelm Yi Zhu in terms of momentum. After he finished speaking, he called on the two neighbors who were watching the commotion nearby to move Yi Zhu's belongings inside. But I didn't expect Yi Zhu wouldn't eat this kind of trick at all. Maybe he used to worry about his identity as the first uncle of Yi Zhonghai, but now Yi Zhu is moving out, why bother so much? Don't even touch my things, go ahead. At this moment, Yi Zhu's attitude was firmly refusing to let them touch his luggage, and he directly confronted Yi Zhonghai. Then let's talk and understand. I'll ask you, have you taken all the letters my father Yi Daqing has sent back over the years? The words startled everyone. The masses who are unaware of the truth do not understand why Yi Zhu suddenly mentioned Yi Daqing. This courtyard has been without news of Yi Daqing for many years. Yi Daqing didn't go missing before. When did he send a letter back? Haven't he heard of it? Hey, what does this have to do with Grandpa Yi? Didn't they have a good relationship before? But you see how angry Silly Zhu is now. May it really be that old Yi intercepted someone else's letter, or is there any misunderstanding? Yi Zhonghai was even more horrified in his heart, as he silently exchanged a glance with the deaf old lady. The deaf old lady had a bitter face and just shook her head gently, indicating that she didn't know what was going on. It was quite lively now, and everyone was pointing and pointing. Yi Zhu saw everything in his eyes and believed Liu Weidong's word 7 or 8 times in his heart. Thanks to him, Yi Zhu usually treats Mr. Yi and the deaf old lady as close relatives. The more he thought, the more angry he became. Yi Zhu had already clenched his fist and continued to force Yi Zhonghai, who was stuttering. You said, why didn't you speak? Did you take all the letters? I was just about to tell you about this, silly pillar. Yi Zhonghai knew that he might not be able to keep things hidden anymore, and could only reluctantly explain. This is a misunderstanding, I just helped you collect these letters. So, did you really intercept me? Yi Zhu grabbed Yi Zhonghai's collar and his anger surged, his face extremely ugly. He said in a gloomy voice. So, are you finally admitting that this has happened? The north wind was howling, and Yi Zhu's heart was even colder. The person he has trusted for so many years, in the end, only has ulterior motives towards himself, and he feels very uncomfortable in his heart. Starting from learning about this matter yesterday, going to the post office and hospital to collect evidence today, and now facing off with Yi Zhonghai in person. Yi Zhu's brain is like boiling batter over a fierce fire. It's getting more and more chaotic, getting more and more messy. The surrounding neighbors were in an uproar at this moment. I said, why must Silly Zhu move out of here today? It turns out it's because of this. How could old Yi do such a thing? That's right, it was a letter sent back by someone else's biological father, and someone intercepted it. You say it's annoying but not annoying. But is this really a matter of courtyard feng shui, as he said? Is there anything else he hasn't revealed? If this were to happen to me, I would probably be even angrier than Silly Zhu. The news of my own father has been intercepted by people for so many years, and this matter is not that simple. As they watched everyone talk more and more outrageously, they pointed and pointed at Yi Zhonghai. Faced with cold words, Yi Zhonghai didn't want the prestige he had built in the courtyard for many years to collapse in an instant. It was more than 10 years of hard work. I'm telling you, there's a reason for this. Follow me to my house now, and I'll give you all the letters. There are also some other things that I keep with me. If you come with me to see them, you will understand everything. Yi Zhonghai can only continue to grit his head and pull the calf, and now his heart is in a state of panic, not knowing what to do. This statement confused Yuzhu and the people around him. What do you mean by that? What do you understand? Yuzhu slightly loosened Yi Zhonghai's collar, wanting to ask for clarification. Ah, yes, it's me who helped you keep those letters. And then? Yi Zhonghai blushed and stuttered, unable to reconcile the temporary lie he had fabricated. He couldn't explain the matter clearly. I feel even more regretful at the thought of losing credibility in the entire courtyard and not being able to maintain the position of Mr. Yi. What Yi Zhonghai regrets is not about intercepting the letter from He Daqing. He regrets not being more cautious, so Yuzhu wouldn't have noticed it, let alone what happened today. Who the hell did the bastard expose this matter? Yi Zhonghai cursed inwardly. And then what? Yuzhu sternly asked again, interrupting Yi Zhonghai's wild thoughts. Yi Zhonghai was panicked, his eyes scattered, and he looked around aimlessly, wanting to seek help from the deaf old lady. But at this moment, the deaf old man had already pretended to be deaf and had no intention of explaining anything to him, only wanting to distance himself from his relationship. Let's go, talking too much is useless. I want to see all my father's letters now. Yuzhu saw that Yi Zhonghai was already wilting and had nothing to say. He pushed and kneaded Yi Zhonghai to his house. Wait a minute. Suddenly, Yuzhu remembered something again, turned around, pointed to the other neighbors in the courtyard, and said. No one of you is allowed to move my luggage, let alone move it inside, otherwise I won't be finished with you. Then he instructed Yan Bugui to go to the front yard to help look at the things in his car. Yan Bugui also pretended to be a kind-hearted person, thinking about how to win the favor of Yuzhu. He patted his chest and agreed. Don't worry, with your 3 grandfathers here, I guarantee that your things will remain intact here. Yuzhu nodded and then calmly followed Yi Zhonghai inside to read the letter. Little did they know that not far from the outside of the yard at this moment, there was a person quietly watching this wonderful scene. In Liu Weidong's mind, several lines of numbers had already jumped up. The deaf old lady's resentment value is +1, +5, +8, +3. Yi Zhonghai's resentment points +10, +18, +76, +1, +12. Qin Huai Ru's resentment value +3, +3, +3. Looking at these values, Liu Weidong gradually felt relieved, even a little relieved. Yi Zhonghai, this old guy, suddenly has a resentment value of 76 points. Liu Weidong noticed the fluctuation of the values and couldn't help but laugh twice. TSK, it seems that the old man almost vomited blood when he was exposed just now. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Yi Zhonghai's actions are actually for the sake of foolishness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Is Yi Zhonghai doing this for the sake of being a fool? At this moment, Uncle Liu Weidong on one side squinted his eyes and watched everything with great interest. He saw through Yi Zhonghai's lies at a glance and knew that he didn't want to lose face in front of his neighbors. This indirectly confirms that Yi Zhonghai did indeed intercept the letter from He Qing. This is a big problem of moral decay and moral character. In this era of underdeveloped communication, there is no telephone, no mobile phone and no internet. Communication between relatives is basically based on letters. Sometimes, remittances are also made to family members when sending letters, so communication between family members is quite important. Yi Zhonghai's behavior is to be condemned by people. After all, no one wants their letters to be secretly intercepted and stolen by others. Liu Weidong is well aware of this and naturally will not give up the opportunity to damage Yi Zhonghai's reputation. He quickly followed up and wanted to find an opportunity to fall into the trap. As long as Yi Zhonghai steps down and can no longer lift his head in the courtyard, Liu Weidong, the second uncle who has always been suppressed, will naturally be able to rise to power and become the legitimate first uncle. You should know that Liu Weidong has always wanted to become a leader and have experienced the addiction of being a top official. Qin Huai Ru, who was standing beside her, silently watched the play. At this moment, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. At least, Yuzhu didn't move because of her. Just now on her way back, Qin Huai Ru had been worried that Yuzhu might have discovered that she had already placed the IUD. If that were the case, she would be in trouble. However, Qin Huai Ru still kept an eye on it and felt a strong sense of crisis. It was possible for Yuzhu to move out of the courtyard. She didn't want Yuzhu to leave the courtyard due to conflicts with others, and she would also be at a disadvantage. So Qin Huai Ru also followed and prepared to find a way to trap Yuzhu in the courtyard. Just Su Damao on one side is very unhappy. Just now, he clearly came to gloat and watch the play, but was scolded by the deaf old lady. Su Damao's eyes twitched and his heart was filled with resentment. Grandma, there was still this silly pillar in this courtyard the day before, and I couldn't feel comfortable for a whole day. We still need to find a way to stir up the fire later and make them fight as hard as possible. Su Damao was worried that Yi Zhonghai and the deaf old lady would do ideological work on Yuzhu in the future, coaxing him down. In the end, Yuzhu decided not to move, and his good days still had no future. The group arrived at Yi Zhonghai's house in a lively manner. Both Yi Zhonghai and the deaf old lady were human spirits, and naturally noticed the other onlookers behind him, especially Su Damao who was preparing to make a fuss. The deaf old lady immediately saw through his intentions. "You come in." The deaf old lady pulled Yuzhu into the house and then closed the door directly. To everyone's surprise, there was no drama left to continue watching, so they pointed and started gossiping. "Hey, what exactly is going on here? I don't think Liu looks like that kind of villain. Does he have any hidden secrets? Knowing people knows their faces but not their hearts. I see, oldie just messed up this time." You didn't see the angry expression on Silly Zhu's face. If this brat gets into trouble, he will definitely end up with old E. Yeah, it's so noisy that we're about to move out of the quadrangle, and they're also falsely accusing us of having feng shui problems here. You said we got into that. No matter whose problem this is, it cannot have a negative impact on our courtyard. When they come out later, we need to let them explain this matter clearly. Su Damao closed the door and started cursing, then leaned his ear against the door frame to eavesdrop. After entering, Yuzhu let out a cold snort and said, "Don't do so much. You probably don't want to lock me in the house, do you? Where can we go, silly pillar?" Yi Zhonghai saw that Yuzhu's emotions were not as excited anymore, so he started acting again. He lifted his head with his hands behind his back and pretended to be a serious elder, slowly saying, "Actually, we're all doing this for your own good. Who would believe it? How could it be better for me?" Yuzhu waved his hands and didn't believe Yi Zhonghai's words. Yi Zhonghai didn't continue speaking. He took Yuzhu and walked into his room. Normally, Yi Zhonghai is relatively frugal and often uses kerosene lamps, but today he turned on the electric lamps. Pop. Pull the light rope, the dim yellow light will illuminate the small bedroom. Next to the pine bed was an old counter table in the color of pork liver. Yi Zhonghai sat down and with a babbling sound, he opened the leftmost drawer. Reaching inside and groping for a while, Yi Zhonghai finally pulled out a thick stack of letters. Gently place the letter on the table, but don't rush to pass it to Silly Zhu. Yi Zhonghai immediately opened the middle drawer and pulled out another tin box. This tin box is wrapped in butter paper, which looks even more vintage. The butter paper has been wrapped in oil. Yi Zhonghai gently opened the lid of the tin box, took out the money inside, and exhaled on his finger. With a gentle twist, he roughly counted the amount. Look, this is your father He Daqing's letter, and I'm taking good care of it for you. This pile is all the money he gave you. You can count the amount yourself. Originally, I planned to give it to you when you got married, Silly Zhu, but now that you know about it, I'll give it to you in advance. Yi Zhonghai tried to suppress his throat as much as possible, appearing to have the dignity of an elder, and was able to deceive Yuzhu with a deep affection for his own good. As he spoke, he handed over 2 stacks of things, one big and one small, in his hand. Yuzhu took a thick stack of banknotes and was stunned by Yi Zhonghai's words. He was surprised, with a touch in his heart and an awkward and apologetic expression on his face. He felt that he had been too impulsive just now and had misunderstood Yi Zhonghai. It is not appropriate to confront Yi Zhonghai in front of so many people, as the one who is dedicated to his own good has been criticized by those people. Yuzhu's mouth moved, but he didn't know what to say for a moment. Did you really misunderstand, Mr. Yi? More importantly, Yuzhu has always thought that he has no father and no family. Suddenly, he heard that someone was thinking about the big things in their life and silently dedicating themselves to getting married in the future. Yuzhu suddenly felt a strong sense of happiness. Many emotions were added together, and Silly Zhu suddenly forgot his previous anger and dissatisfaction, appearing somewhat moved. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Silly Pillar. Counting my years. Be sure to. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Silly Pillar. Counting my years. We must lose money. Alas, it's all my fault for this. Actually, you, Grandpa Yi, opposed doing it back then, but I always felt that you were too young. You were only over 10 years old at that time, so I discussed with Grandpa Yi and helped you keep it for now. The deaf old lady came over and took Yuzhu's hand. Usually, she relied on this move to get close to Yuzhu. You also know that in recent years, the world has not been peaceful. You are too young to carry so much money and it is not safe. Seeing that Yuzhu did not refuse, the deaf old lady knew there was a play and continued to coax Yuzhu. Silly Pillar, we hope you can smoothly marry your wife and start a good family and career without any other harmful thoughts. If you want to blame me, just blame me. It has nothing to do with you, Mr. E. The deaf old lady, as a human spirit, naturally has the ability to observe words and expressions. Seeing that Yuzhu was already moved, she walked down the slope and naturally revealed her own involvement. This emotional card is played very well, and the deaf old lady's skills are indeed profound. In a few words, Yi Zhonghai's situation of being forced into helplessness was explained, almost washing away the influence of moral issues from him. Moreover, they rationalized their motives with lies like, the world is not fair. And most importantly, they are all thinking for Yuzhu. It's for him to marry a wife. You should know that over the years, Yuzhu's biggest trouble has been not being able to find a partner. As he grew older day by day, he still couldn't find a partner after the appropriate age for marriage. He could only wait with the widow Qin Huai Ru, who already had 3 children, to quench his thirst. The deaf old lady's words were clearly a powerful remedy for the symptoms, causing Yi Zhu's emotions to reverse in a short period of time. Upon hearing these words, Yi Zhonghai beside him also reacted. They both rely on Yi Zhu for retirement in the latter half of their lives, so naturally they have to play the whole set. Silly pillar, it's also your fault. I've been focusing on your future marriage and children, ignoring your thoughts. I'm sorry for you. If you want to blame me, just blame me. It's not related to anyone else. Anyway, as long as you can live well in the future, we are also pleased to see that you can smoothly marry, have children, start a family and start a business. Yi Zhonghai pretended to be hypocritical and spoke to Yi Zhu in a familial tone. Yi Zhu was a bit moved earlier, but now he has slowly regained his stable emotions. After tracing the process from beginning to end, Yi Zhu still had many doubts. With confusion in mind, Yi Zhu collected the stack of money in front of the two and put it inside his clothes. Then, under the light, he opened the letters his father, Yi Daqing, had given him. At the beginning, the content of the letter was written quite extensively, but later it gradually became somewhat cold in tone. In the past year or two, there were not many words spoken, only a few greetings and caring words. The coldness of emotions left Yi Zhu with an extra heart. If I reply to my father normally, it is inevitable that the two father and son will have more to talk about and will become more talkative due to communication. From beginning to end, Yi Zhu did not see Yi Daqing mentioning Yi Zhonghai or asking others to help save money. It seems that Yi Daqing didn't know about this matter either. He just thought that Yi Zhu hadn't replied, and his feelings gradually cooled down. Yi Zhu still has energy now. He lifted his head and glanced at Yi Zhonghai. Suddenly caught off guard, Yi Zhonghai's eyes dodged for a moment. Good guy, he really has something to hide from himself. Yi Zhu is not so easy to fool. The look in his eyes just now, combined with various signs of confrontation with Yi Zhonghai at the door, all indicate that Yi Zhonghai has ulterior motives towards him. But what exactly are they doing for? Yi Zhu was puzzled in his heart, thinking of many reasons but unable to figure them out. It's not for money, otherwise all these years of money would have been spent by Yi Zhonghai long ago and wouldn't have waited until today. It's not to make myself unable to see these letters and mistakenly think that my father has lost contact and disappeared. If Yi Zhonghai had done that, he would have burned all the letters long ago. Moreover, doing so would be detrimental to others and not beneficial to oneself. Why bother putting so much effort into Yi Zhonghai? I can't figure out what kind of enmity I have with Yi Zhonghai. Yi Zhu probably wants to break his head and also can't understand why Yi Zhonghai did this absurd thing to trap himself and provide them with retirement in the future. Yi Zhonghai saw that Yi Zhu seemed to have doubts again. He opened his mouth and wanted to defend himself, but was stopped by the deaf old lady who raised her hand and asked him not to speak for now. Yi Zhu naturally saw all of this in his eyes, and his heart became even more certain that there was still something suspicious between the two people in front of him. Without understanding the tone, Yi Zhu was slandering inwardly. These two people are really good at acting. They have been working together for so many years to plan against me, making me lose contact with my father. Things are not so easy to turn over. I, Yi Zhu, am not easy to calculate. Having made up his mind, Yi Zhu said slowly with a stern expression. Don't you want me not to move out? That's right, as long as you don't move out, it's easy to say anything. This is really a misunderstanding, silly pillar, we are really doing it for your good. Yi Zhonghai quickly said, thinking that Yi Zhu had already forgiven him. Although Yi Zhu didn't know the ultimate purpose of Yi Zhonghai and the deaf old lady's actions at this time, and why he had to stay in the courtyard, he knew it was definitely not a good thing, so he spoke up and said. I can do without moving, but you have taken my money over the years and made me live a long and difficult life. You must compensate me. Ah. Well, what kind of compensation law do you want? Yi Zhonghai's head was a bit big, and he sighed in his heart why this matter was still endless, and a wave of resentment surged outwards. 500 yuan, as compensation for intercepting letters from my family for so many years. If you don't give it, I'll go to the post office to report you. Yuzhu's words made Yi Zhonghai break out in a cold sweat again. In this era, stealing and blocking letters is not only a moral issue, but also a big problem if held accountable by the Postal Bureau. If we continue to chase after Yi Zhonghai's unit, he may lose his job. Beads of sweat, big as beans, flowed down Yi Zhonghai's forehead and said, "Silly pillar, why are you suffering?" Yuzhu held his hands and looked as if he wouldn't give up easily. "I don't care, you have to pay me 500 yuan today anyway. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.